All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Let's move to, that's me. I'm Jim. Hi. Who am I? So we're going to talk about LinkedIn here. Building your personal brand on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a relatively new influencer platform. If you're on YouTube or even TikTok and others, there is a big group of people who are all really, really good at helping you figure out how to grow on these platforms. They've looked at the algorithm. They've done testing. They've gone through all of this work, and there are things like TubeBuddy and vidIQ to help you figure out how to post and what to post and how to work the algorithm and what to do. Because LinkedIn is a relatively new platform for creators, even though it's been around for like more than 20 years, there is not as much of a infrastructure of people who are really smart about how to grow on LinkedIn. There are a couple people, and at the end I've got a bunch of resources for you. I do not consider myself an expert, but I do know a little bit, and I just spent 6 weeks in the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator, which is something that they do in Europe. They do it in the US, and I'm sure they will bring it here to Asia as well. They call it a Creator Accelerator. It basically just gets you good insight on how to build and grow your channel, how to think about what type of content to produce. There are a bunch of experts that I've also looked at who are very good at it. So I'm going to tell you what I know to the best of my ability, and some of it will be, some of it may be outdated, I doubt it is, but it may change quickly. But at least this is a start to help you think about your journey on LinkedIn. Now, how many people are on LinkedIn? I know everybody's on LinkedIn, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here. So who I am, well, my LinkedIn history, along with being in the Accelerator, is primarily around a newsletter that I started writing. Even though I've been on LinkedIn, and I'll talk about it in a minute, I'm one of the oldest users on LinkedIn, and I will share why in a minute, and how you can figure out how old you are as a user on LinkedIn. But when I was running VidCon, we would send a newsletter out to all the people in our industry email list, trying to get them to write, buy tickets, right? Events coming up, buy tickets. And I sort of said, something like, it's not working okay, but what if we put some content in there so people actually open our emails? And since I previously was editor-in-chief at PC Magazine, PC Week, helped launch a cable network called ZDTV about technology, but on the content side, I'd written email newsletters before. I started one called What's New Now at PC Magazine that had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and it's still running today, which is great. So I was like, I've done this before, I'll just give it a try. 2 years ago, and about that time, all of a sudden, popping up on LinkedIn for me was a note saying, we have this new newsletter product. Would you like to put your newsletter on LinkedIn? I was like, sure. We're sending it out to our list. I have 15,000 followers or subscribers or whatever they are, connections on LinkedIn. I'm like, yeah, let's do that and see what happens. So I did, and I've just kept on doing it for a couple years. I subsequently, about 3 months ago, left Viacom, Paramount, who I sold VidCon to. I went on my own, and even though I didn't have the email addresses that VidCon had, I kept the LinkedIn one, because my personal LinkedIn. So I've continued to put it out there, and apparently people like it. The LinkedIn people really like it. They let me into their accelerator because they really like it. And I now have 2 years of experience putting a newsletter on LinkedIn. So I've learned a little bit there. I started to do video on LinkedIn as well. And as part of the accelerator, I listened to a lot of really smart people, and the other people who were in the accelerator, 120 people in the accelerator, so it wasn't like a small, intimate group of people learning how to grow. But I started doing video there, and I've learned a little bit, and I'm going to share what I know with you and what I've learned from other people as we get into this. And I would encourage all of you, sign up for my newsletter. I'm happy to share the presentation with anybody, but sign up for the newsletter and then message me on LinkedIn. If it's useful and you like it. So let's jump into it. And I am doing this like this way because I don't want to be over here going like, okay, first, second, third. So I'm running over here too. So this is the TLDR. These are sort of the 7 things I think that you can keep track of and think about as you post on LinkedIn. And a lot of people, again, thought about LinkedIn as a place to get a job, right? This is where you put your resume. You only go up there when you want to get a job. But really now, LinkedIn is your work graph. So think about, you've got your social graph, which are your friends on whatever social network you're on. You've got your creator graph, where if you're on YouTube, who you subscribe to, the creators that you like. TikTok is really good about building a content graph around you, what kind of content you like, so we can feed you more content like that and keep you from ever leaving the site. Well, what LinkedIn is think about it as your work graph. It's all the people that you currently work with, have worked with in the past, business connections. And what you want to do is you want to build and grow that work graph to build and grow your personal brand and maybe the brand of the business that you run or the business that you're part of. LinkedIn is a great place to do that. It's not a great place for monetization. It's not a great place to build in ads or do sponsorships, although people do that. But it's a great place to become an expert at something, to become better at your job, to position yourself for the next job, and to do things like if you want to create a course and put it out there. There are sponsored posts. There are people who've been doing LinkedIn for a while are doing paid speaking gigs. So it is a place for monetization, but you need to look at it as a personal brand and a business brand growing area, and less as a place where you're going to go and make AdSense revenue and all that, because it's not there yet. It may be, but don't count on it. So first, we'll talk about this in more detail, but post once per day or 3 times, roughly 3 times a week is a good thing to do, 2 to 3 times a week. And that doesn't mean you've got to do 3 videos a week. It doesn't mean that you've got to do really in-depth things 3 times a week, but engaging 3 times a week is important. Post in your own voice. There's a whole group of people that have risen up with businesses as ghostwriters for CEOs and other people on LinkedIn. Don't do that. Be yourself. Post in your voice. Post about what you like. Post about what's important to you. Because that, in the end, is how you are going to stick out and how it's going to work. So after you post, and this is like new to me, so you go in, you write a little article, you put a picture up there, you put something else up there, a carousel or a video. Once you post, don't go away. The algorithm keeps track of you. And so once you post your own thing, go in and look at what else is on your LinkedIn feed. Comment on some stuff. Comment on 3 things at a minimum, because the algorithm thinks that if you do that, you're definitely more involved and it wants to promote you more because you're more involved on the platform. Again, this is the case now, according to an expert on the platform, but who knows if it'll be the case tomorrow. When you post, focus on your audience, not yourself. We're going to talk about content strategy down the road, but there are a lot of people who their only LinkedIn posts are, I just got this great job, or platitudes about life and things like that. It's like, no, that kind of stuff is crap. Post about things that are of interest to you and that are important to you, but focus on the audience. Give back. Give them insight. Give them tips. People are coming, and this is the case. You heard this about other posting as well on other platforms. It is the most important thing on LinkedIn is to post about things that other people on the platform will find interesting. And remember, it's the business graph, so think about the business stuff. If you want to post about what you just had for breakfast, find business tips to pull out of that. You could do it. I was talking the other day, well, I'll get to this in a minute, but I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll give an example of how you can take something that is super broad and make it specific to what you're doing and make it specific to a business audience. If you want to build your audience, start following the people that you want to connect with. And follow all the people you know in business first. There's connecting and following. So connecting means that you are a connection and you may or may not know each other, but you want to be connected with each other. It means you can connect with them, you can email them and message them and do things like that. Following are the people that you want to follow because they're super interesting and you just want to see what they're doing and what they're posting and what they're doing. So like follow Bill Gates, follow Elon Musk if you must. You can follow Mr. Beast, for example. But you can connect, you can definitely try and connect with as many, like I accept all connection requests right now. Anybody who wants to connect with me, you can get up to 30,000 connection requests before it just turns into a follow. But even if you decide you want to connect with somebody, like somebody you don't know, but you'd love to connect with them and have a relationship with on LinkedIn, it'll automatically follow you. And then if they like you, they'll connect with you as well. So there's nothing wrong with trying to connect, even if it doesn't work. But find the people you like, find 10 people that you want to be connected to, find people who are aspirational that in your industry and connect with them. Follow them for sure, which will happen automatically, but try and connect with them as well. When you're using video and doing video, use captions. Now, up until last week, you had to burn captions into your video. And I got lots of captions burned into the videos that I do. There's a piece of software called Descript, which makes it really easy to do that and get those captions. It's a service online. It's a great video editor. But now they're starting to roll out auto captions. So keep an eye on auto captions. They haven't rolled it out to everybody yet. But when you do those auto captions, go look at them. Don't just automatically let them do captions for you, because no auto captioning is perfect. And you want to make sure that it's actually what you're saying. It's a little extra time, but it's really worth it, because 75, 80%, somewhere around there, of the people watching video on YouTube are watching it with the sound off. So just keep that in mind when you're putting stuff up there. And use a lot of the different features. Just like YouTube, when there's a new feature, they really like when people experiment with it and they push you up the algorithmic ranking. As new features come out on LinkedIn, use those and play around with them, because you might find one of those features is actually better for your voice. I'll talk about some of the features that they're highlighting now, but keep an eye on what those different features are. And so some of them are, let's see if I can remember all of them. There's a post, which is basically just like a text post. There is a story, which is a longer text post. The text posts are capped at a certain number of characters. I can't remember, but it's in the maybe hundreds, low thousands. But anything longer than that, you can make a story. Now, a post could have an image, a video, could have a photo, but you can't really organize it and set it up the way you want with lots of different pictures and things. You can use emoticons. But a story is longer, and you can embed video and do other things in there. There's just a photo. You can put a photo or a group of photos up with some text around it, which actually can work out really well. There is video. There are carousels. Now, carousels are, right now, for most people, you can take a PDF that, and I would say do it in a square format or a slightly tall format. Take a PDF, get 7 to 10 slides, different pages in a PDF, upload that as a carousel, and it will create almost a slideshow for you. It's pretty interesting. It's fun to play around with. There is a new format of carousels that they're rolling out that allow you to embed videos or do audio overlays. Those can be really cool. One of them that I did was really good in the program. It took a lot of work. I used Canva. I had to cut different pieces of video and pop them in there and do that. But a video carousel can work really well. And done right, it's a very engaging experience. It's sort of like the cross between a PowerPoint and a story. It's their story format. I know I'm missing some of their others. Well, we'll get to it. There are other ways that you can post. Just keep that in mind. So to dive into it, this is kind of just a fun little hack. What's your number? Everybody on LinkedIn has a number. That number is sequential from 0. I assume that somebody at LinkedIn, could be Reid Hoffman who started LinkedIn, is number 1. And every time a new user comes on LinkedIn, that number increments by 1. So how do you find your number? This is kind of geeky, but go to your profile page. If you guys know how to view source code, Control-U in your browser typically will bring up the source code. That's the HTML behind the page. And if you search for, I didn't hit the button. So if you search for meta name equals open paren, dash, dash, init, open paren, open quote, init, close quote, space, content equals, close quote. Search for that thing. What it'll pull up is it'll pull up some results, and you're going to look in those results to something that looks like this. URN:/LI:member:, and then a number after it. That's your member number. I happen to be member number 8,797 because when they launched LinkedIn, I was at PC Magazine, and they came out to see us, and they showed it to us early on before it shipped. And of course, I went on and became a member because that's what I do. So I was one of the first 10,000. It doesn't mean anything, really. I don't think that number doesn't matter at all. It's just kind of fun to know what your number is. So if you want to know what your number is, that's how you get it. And what it looks like is something like this. This is when you get that HTML. This is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of crap. But URN:/LI member, and that'll be you. So it's useless information. You've now learned something completely useless, but might be fascinating to you. So let's talk about hashtags. Just like other social networks, there are hashtags on LinkedIn. And there's somebody who keeps track of the top 100 hashtags at any one time on LinkedIn. Now, the way that hashtags work on LinkedIn is people follow hashtags. So somebody might follow creator economy hashtag or something else. This is a list of the most followed hashtags. And when that happens, you can actually go to that hashtag and look at what's going on. And it tells the algorithm that you're more interested in content with that hashtag. So for example, we use the hashtag here of hashtag creator economy. If you go to LinkedIn and search for hashtag creator economy or follow it, you can look at all the stories that came up from here. It's actually really good when you go to events or other things. You can keep track of what's going on at that event. But in a post, you can put in hashtags. So let's talk about why you might want to use hashtags and how many to use. So first of all, top 100 hashtags 2022. This is the first 20 of them. India's number one. Okay, a lot of people in India on it. Innovation, management, human resources, digital marketing, tech, creativity, futurism, entrepreneurship, careers, market, startups, marketing, social media, venture capital, lean startups, sorry, it's hard to read, economy, social networks, and economics. So that's what people like. And if you look at the whole 100, it gives you a sense of what people have reached out and said that they're really interested in. This gives you a sense of like, this is not YouTube, this is not TikTok, this is a business-oriented network. All right, so what's the optimal number of hashtags to put in a LinkedIn post? Anybody? What? 1 or 2? Anybody else? What? 3 to 5. Yes, Timmy, you are correct. 3 to 5. So don't put too many hashtags in. Put in the general ones. So you can put a couple specific ones in, a couple broad ones in. One of the real reasons you'll want to do a hashtag, and I haven't actually, I don't have any slides on this, but I will say this to you. If you want to start to get some reach and get more people looking at what you want, LinkedIn has a whole creator team, and I have a creator partner manager, but they also have a whole news team. They have hired journalists. So if you have LinkedIn up, over on the right will be their trending news stories. You guys all seen these news stories on LinkedIn? So let's say, like in my case, I cover the creator economy, obviously. There was a story a little while back about, I think last week, how it's a story in the New York Times about how TikTok is not suffering under the advertising crunch and that they're going to make $10 billion this quarter or something like that. And I created a response to that. Because I thought, that's great, but they already came down from 12 billion and they might make 10 billion, but let's get creators paid. So I was pretty adamant about that. But one of the hashtags I put in there is LI trending topics. Hashtag LI trending topics. And what I also did was I responded to that news story. So if you respond to that news story, so you go into that news story and then you hit a response and embed that news story in. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm not going to, give me a sec. Oh, I can't do that here. All right, I'm not going to show you. Afterwards, come up and I'll show you how it works. But if you respond to that news story and include the LI trending topics hashtag in there, that says to the news team that somebody has responded to it. And if they like your response, they'll include you on the feed of the news story. So all of a sudden, everybody who clicks on that news story on the LinkedIn homepage gets to read your thoughts on that story. So it's a really good way to use a hashtag and to use a response to a story to start to get more people following you, which means your reach increases, which means that, whatever your goal is on the platform, you're going to do a better job. So only 3 to 5 hashtags. Go from broad to specific. Don't stress on them too much. They're really not that important. But it does help people who want to find it. It's just a thing to know. Some people over-stress on this. I will share this presentation with anybody who wants also. So not that important. So what is important is your LinkedIn summary. Now, your LinkedIn summary is different from your resume and your experiences. It's basically your elevator pitch that happens at the top. So someone goes, and for example, let's say they see your story because you responded to one of the trending stories and you put LI trending topics in, and they're like, oh, who is this Timmy person? And this is Timmy right here, by the way. And they go to, she spoke earlier, and they go to Timmy's page and she's got, what they'll look at is they'll see a couple things and they're like, oh, that description of who you are, in many ways, is the first things people see. And if it's good, they'll be like, oh, that's really cool, I'll follow her. If it's not good, they'll be like, whatever. It's your elevator pitch, it's your story. What it is not just a rehashing of your experience. So basically, it is a way to kind of tell, in short, not few lines, 3, 4, 5 lines, tell your story of who you are and what you're into and your career and all that. But don't just say, I worked at I worked at Branded, then I worked at Acast, then I worked at, I'm just copying Timmy's background. So the right one will help you gain jobs, followers, and much more. So summary tips, use keywords to hook people. So the keywords for your industry, keywords for the things that you do, like you're a creator, you're whatever it is, put those keywords in there. Be concise, don't be too big. Numbers really help. Like, say like, I built this thing and it had 30,000 viewers. That's a great thing with a number. So put some good numbers in, put some data in. Also a call to action. What do you want people to do? Do you want them to hire you? Do you want them to buy your book? Do you want them to subscribe to your channel or your newsletter? Whatever it is, put a call to action in there. Say, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. And people will do it if you put that call to action in. Things you don't want to do, don't repeat your resume. And by the way, across the board, in life, in general, but certainly on LinkedIn, don't make stuff up. People find out, and then it's just don't make things up. It's not good on LinkedIn, it's not good anywhere. Let's see, posting. There we go, post frequency. Ideally, you want to post 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, not more than once every 18 hours though, because the algorithm basically takes a while to get your stuff in there, and if you do a post and then 5 hours later you do another post, that last post you did, it's going to start to de-emphasize that, and it's going to start to emphasize the next one. So yeah, don't post more than once every 18 hours, which is nice. It's not like you have to feed the content monster with something every day, or like some TikTokers do 100 things a week. There are TikTokers that post 100 times a week. I don't know how they do it. The ideal time to post, and this is in the time zone that you're in, which I need to dive into this a little bit more because I have questions on this. So I live in California. Should I be posting at 10 a.m. California time or Singapore time? I don't know. But I would say whatever time zone you live in, typically if that's where you are most of the time, 10 a.m. Monday to Thursday, work days, and then 1 p.m. Friday to Sunday. Those are the days that are better. Those are the times that are better or best. I've tested this out. I did some stuff in the middle of the night and it didn't work. Super critical. Don't put links in your post to external sources. Now, sometimes you might want to because it's a news story or something else. But if you put a link in your post that goes outside of LinkedIn, it will be de-emphasized. This is kind of a standard thing because we were talking earlier, those of you in the session earlier about shorts, don't put a TikTok video in shorts with a TikTok logo on it. Same thing. We want to keep people on platform. We don't want to take people off platform. So don't put a link in your post. Now, there is a secret way to get a link in your post, but you don't want to do this either right away. So the thing you want to do with your post is you want to get comments. LinkedIn loves it when people are talking about stuff. So when you post something, whether it's a picture or just a straight ahead post or a carousel or whatever, put in a call to action at the bottom that says something like, what do you think? Or come up with something better than that. It's like if you're talking about something really interesting, come up with something that is a little bit, it could be a little bit risque. It could be like you're just designed to create people think. But like in the comments, not just what do you think, but do you really think that Elon Musk is going to save Twitter? That's a good call to action, a good way to get people to start making comments up. So comments are great, and you really want comments, but don't be the first one to comment on your post. Absolutely. Wait till somebody else comments on your post. And but what you can do is after there are some comments on your post, then you can go do a comment to your own post with the link that you want people to go to, and then you pin it to the top. So when somebody reads it, you can always pin one comment to the top, and so they'll read your story, and the first link comment that they see is something from you where you say, hey, go to this link for more information, or go to this link to buy a t-shirt or socks or something if that is what you're into. But again, don't do that post yourself. Don't make that the first post you do. And wait at least an hour before you post on your own thing and put it up and pin it to the top. So you can do links, but that's how you do it. Does that make sense? Any questions? Cool. Yeah. Wait, hold on, I'll run over here.
Yeah, what if we put a link to our personal website on the summary? Will our post be de-emphasized as well?
Really good question. You have the ability to put a link on your summary. There is an area where you can put a link there that can go wherever you want. That will not kill your post, and it's actually a really good idea. now go to my blog, which is stupid, but I do anyway because I don't put much up there. But I just signed up for a Linktree, so I'm going to build out a Linktree and put it there. So yeah, absolutely do that. Thank you. It's a really good question because again, in your summary page up at the top, when they get to your profile page, you could have a link there that's really important, and definitely go to your website, go to your link in bio, go to anything that really makes sense. Go to your Instagram if you want to move people to your Instagram or whatever's cool. So where are we? Don't put links in your post, never stop. Oh, also don't stop posting out like everything, right? But the nice thing is hold on, let me just finish that thought. Don't stop posting. If you stop for more than a month, you start to get de-emphasized, and then you've got to build it back up again. And when you tag, you know how to tag people? You tag, like, let's say I did a post about, about Steve Crombie, or I talked about him, or he's one of the people that I talked about. I can put @ Steve Crombie, and he'll pop up, and I can put it in there. What some people do is that just tag random people they know that they're connected to or not, just because they think that's going to increase the reach. No, it's the opposite. Don't put too many, don't tag irrelevant people. Don't tag yourself with @. Just make it useful for people.
Thank you for walking up here.
No problem.
So essentially...
I get to sit down, by the way.
Oh, no, that's nice, isn't it? My niche is specifically commentary on social media and pop culture. Yep. So how exactly would I do that without tagging an external link to clarify that this is something that we should be talking about?
Yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but you should do it judiciously where it makes sense. And then, again, if there are links that you want to put into it, put those links into a comment an hour later, and then hopefully you have other comments, pin it to the top. The other thing is look for, if you can put a link to something else on LinkedIn there, and that'll work, so that makes sense. Or do what I do and do a newsletter, where my newsletter is a weekly newsletter. We'll talk about newsletters in a minute, where I put all kinds of links to external stuff, and that's allowed, and that's okay. If it's a newsletter or a story, it's okay to have those links. But if it's a straight ahead post or something smaller, try not to. Steve.
Are there any platforms that you can use to study like trends on LinkedIn? So, like you've got Tubular for YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, that sort of thing. Is there any ways you can study different trends on LinkedIn? Any tools?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What I do know is that, for example, that you'll get the link if you get the presentation to the top 100 hashtags. It's a good question. I mean, has anybody looked? I don't know who's looking at that. There's not a lot of data on it yet, but I'm sure there will be. So also don't do these things. Talked about external links in your post. Don't stop posting. Tag irrelevant people. Let me just move ahead. So what type of posts? So these are the types of things that are better than average to the algorithm right now. That PDF slide post I talked about. A video carousel, which is kind of like the thing that allows you to post video and audio. The top two are sort of similar. Polls, which makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit because I hate polls. They're awful. But the algorithm likes them. So you know what? Do polls. Just not for me. Video. Pictures. One or two pictures with some text. So they actually really like when you put up pictures. And I'll give you a really good example of one of my top posts of the last 6 months was I was going to Europe and there was a strike and my flight to Paris was canceled. I ended up getting on another plane to Frankfurt and then taking the train to Paris. And I had to change planes somewhere else in Frankfurt, in Germany. But I got off and I had like a 2-hour layover on my train, and it was a town I'd been before, and I found a beer hall and had a pretzel and some beer and a sausage. I took a picture of it. And I put the picture up on LinkedIn and used it as a way to talk a little bit about how you need to be flexible in life and just think about, you got to roll with what happens, and just a couple little lessons in there. But people loved it. They loved that little slice of my life, which I'm like, I don't really talk about myself that much. LinkedIn actually really likes pictures of you. So even if you're doing a carousel or one of those PDF things, put a photo of yourself in. LinkedIn likes that. I know I don't really like promoting myself that way, but I got to start doing it more. But those sort of things actually really work. People like the little slice of your life. My partner manager said, I was like, why did this do so well? He said, people like to know about you. Every one of you, people who follow you or connect with you, they want to know a little bit more about you. Humanize it, but if you add in some lessons, that's always good. But I will say on this, do what you like. If you do what you like and talk about the things you're passionate about, like talking about social media and talking about those things, no matter what, people are going to like it because you like it. After you post, don't go away. When you're on LinkedIn, post and then comment on 3 or 4 other posts. Don't edit your own post. I do this all the time. I put a post up and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, damn, that's too many spaces, or I forgot that. Don't do that. Don't do it for the first 10 to 20 minutes, because if you go edit it right away, it's gonna push your post down. I actually did this morning on a post I did for Creator World. But then again, I did it at 4 in the morning on the US, so no one's gonna read it anyway. Don't be the first to comment on your post. Respond to comments right away. Keep an eye on your post. Keep checking back on it. And if somebody comments on it, when they comment on it, respond right away. It really likes when you respond, and it really likes that commentary. And keep on it for the first hour, but for the next 8 to 12 hours, check back every now and then and comment, because that really helps. The algorithm loves it. Okay, video tips. Square format is the best format. Interestingly, people love Square. A lot of people are scrolling on LinkedIn and with audio off. 1 to 2 minutes max. I've gone over, but that's what they say is the sweet spot. Use the new captions feature or burn your captions in so that people can read what you're doing. And be the star of your show. This is something that, again, the video likes to see you. It wants to see you in there, you talking, not for the whole thing, but put yourself in the video a little bit, and then go into other things if you want to. So it just likes that. It likes to personalize and humanize you. LinkedIn loves you. Okay, newsletters. I've been writing a newsletter for 2 years. Here's a couple things I learned. Newsletters are great. They're not as highly ranked by the algorithm. They're essentially, a newsletter is a special type of story. So you can go long, you can put links in, you can format it, you can put a thumbnail in it at the top. You can do a lot of stuff there. It's imperfect. If you really want to do a newsletter and make money on it, you can do Medium, or you can do Beehive and others. They'll allow you to get sponsors. They'll allow you to actually get people to subscribe to your newsletter and pay for it. But LinkedIn is a great way to do a newsletter, get it out to people that like the same things you like. And there's some really neat features about it. It'll push it out there. It's just a good way to cement who you are to your LinkedIn followers. A couple of really interesting things about it. First of all, post to a schedule. If you're going to do a newsletter, do it weekly, do it monthly, do it daily, but have a schedule. Don't create a newsletter and then delete it, because if you do that, LinkedIn won't let you create another newsletter for like 2 months or 3 months. Why do they do that? Because, and this is the magic thing, I did not know this. If I had known this, I would have done things differently. But let's say you've got 5,000 followers on LinkedIn. It's a mix of followers and connections. There really is no way to connect to all of them all at once and tell them what you're doing. When you post, they'll email out, they'll do different things there. But when you do a new newsletter, and you do your first issue of your newsletter, LinkedIn spams it to every single one of your followers, every single one of your connections. This is the only time that they do that. I was talking to the product people. I'm like, can you do that every year? Like, can I just annually have one issue that goes out to everybody? They laughed at me. Who knows? Maybe they'll do it. But this is a really important thing. So if you're going to do a newsletter, commit to doing it, and commit to doing it every week or every month, and but also make that first issue really good, because it's the one that's going to go out to everybody. So it's a great way to get to everybody. What else? Thumbnails are a way to get attention. I'm still trying to figure out what the thumbnails look like and how it works on LinkedIn. Their analytics aren't great on newsletters. They're not going to tell you how many people opened it. They're not going to do all those things that other newsletter platforms will do. But it is a good place to build an audience and, be an expert. So these are a bunch of thumbnails. The ones on top are ones that I've been experimenting with. These are the ones that I use every week. I create a different color. Don't just come up with one thumbnail and keep running it. I could just change the date. But what they told me, my partner manager said, make it different every week. So I do a different color every week. I started playing around with fun little drawings if it happens to be Halloween, or I was talking about pickles in one episode, one issue. I tried this. I did this babies taking video in Stable Diffusion just to see if it would work. It didn't really do as well as the others, so I stopped doing it. But I haven't really tested it, so you can be creative. It's a 16 by 9, I think, is 1920 by 1080 or something like that. They tell you what the format is. But video, these are the video ones I've been doing, and I've been copying the, YouTube. These probably look like YouTube thumbnails because I copy what people are doing on YouTube. I have no idea if this works or not, but something that stops people. We know about thumbnails, have people look out, bright colors, get people going. Interestingly, even though they say square video, for thumbnails, they're rendered differently in different parts of the platform. There is an area where you can put in the things that you are talking about, where you can highlight some of the most recent stories or videos that you've done. It cuts off like right here and right here. So I was putting my series up here and my title down here, and I realized that was wrong because my title was getting cut off. But then in other places, when the video runs, it starts to put stuff over. Anyway, just weird. They're not as good at YouTube, and they haven't figured all that out yet. But play around with it. Play around with thumbnails. And if you figure out what works, let me know. Or actually, even better yet, write a LinkedIn story about what you learned and tag me. Because then you're doing something to help other people, and I'll see it and I'll read it, and I might even put it in my newsletter. So content strategy, what do I talk about? The most important thing for what you talk about is it's not about you. It's about the reader. It's about the viewer. It's about the person there. And you want to give them back. You want to help them understand. People come to LinkedIn not to be entertained. They don't want to hear about your life. They don't want platitudes. They come to learn. They come to discover. They come to further their career and find out what's going on. So when you think about the video or the post or whatever, even if you do like I did, I post a picture of my beer and my sausage and my pretzel, even when you do that, I wanted to give back with some tips and some ideas and some things that I learned that I thought it might be fun to share. It's not about you. So what works? These next sections are directly from somebody at LinkedIn who did a content strategy session for all of us at the Accelerator. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking about I've learned from other people. This comes from the source. Next couple slides are coming from the source. So you can believe it. So two different types of content. First, help people do their jobs better or develop satisfying careers. Think about how do you in your life help people do that job better or make their career better and develop that. And so the keywords there to think about for content across the board, make it relatable. Can people relate to it? Make it applicable to their lives and their jobs. Make it clear. Clear writing is good. Cut it down, remove unnecessary words, and make it concise. If you don't know Strunk and White, which is the Bible for writing short, get a copy of Strunk and White and read it, because Timmy's like, you know Strunk and White, right? They bring that up in the journalism side, yeah. So they teach it in journalism school. Get it yourself. The second one is help people understand their industry or an industry trend. So for example, what you're writing for social media is you're helping people understand what's going on in social or get to know a trend or what's there. Really dive into helping them understand that and you'll build an audience around that and people will like it. And again, relatable, applicable, clear, and concise. So here are a couple of sub-bullets for each of those. Thank you. Here, wait, let me go back. So yeah, help people understand that. I wish I could see it, but all right, well, anyway. So the first one, help people do their jobs better, develop satisfying careers. So here are the examples that they taught us for the types of content that work well on LinkedIn. Milestones, relationships, opportunities, key to your career. Talk about your career, but then talk about the things that you did that got you further. So Steve over there was a creator and then took a trip around the world on a motorcycle with his wife and worked while he was out in the middle of Indonesia. I have no idea how he did this, but ran his business from there. I'm sure he's got amazing stories that he learned about that. Put that on LinkedIn. People want to read about it. People want to see it. And then you can put a picture of your baby up there. As long as you're talking about the milestones and opportunities, something you want people more junior to you to know. So people who might work for you, people just coming into the field. A lot of people coming onto LinkedIn just got the first job and they're trying to learn from experts like you guys. How to navigate your career or the field. Like every single field that we're in is a different way to think about it, different job opportunities, different career path and progression. Help people understand that. I'm going to keep going. Is that all right? Okay, cool. Because nothing's after this, so if you want to leave, you can leave. New initiative to create a happier or more productive workforce. How do you make people around you happy? What are things that you wish your company would do? You don't have to say your company, but you can say like, oh my God, this would be great. Or ways that you've used, tactics and strategies to increase your own productivity that you want other people to know. All of these work really well on LinkedIn. And then, number two, the second bucket, help people understand their industry or an industry trend. This is kind of more of what I do, right? I help people understand industry trends. So think about things like regulations or a trend that's really going to impact where you are, your customers, your peers. What do people need to know? You know it, they need to know it. How do you help them with that? What are you keeping your eye on? What's that hot innovation coming out, or that big or small thing? So for me personally, one of the things that as I've been writing about the creator economy, and I realized a month or two ago, even though I've been writing about it, something I thought was big, but I think generative AI is going to change the creator economy in so many ways. This is like Stable Diffusion and DALL-E 2, which allow you to type in a picture of a baby and some cameras taking video and a YouTube background, and it'll create the art for you. Now, I'm not an artist. I can't do that. I can't draw that. But I can put text in, and these services will draw it. Well, they're also doing video. So you can say, you can say a picture of babies with cameras making video that ends with them winning an Oscar. And we're not really all there yet, but you can imagine that one picture. Remember I put it up there? Imagine a 20, 30, 40-second video that starts with that, but ends with them, little babies on stage getting their Oscar. We're getting there. But the way to think about this is that the video editor I talked about, the podcast editor, uses AI to help make you a better editor. It allows you to edit video as if it was a word processor, creates transcript. It's really cool, but it uses AI to figure that out. So we all thought, and I said this in the beginning, we all thought AI was going to be our robot overlords, or they will take over, but it's not true. This generative AI is going to help all of us be, if we're not an artist, a decent artist. If we are an artist, a superhero. If you're not a video editor, a decent editor. If you are, et cetera. If you're not a video, blah, blah. Anyway, that's what I did, and that's that hot innovation that I've been talking about that people like. So you're probably always getting asked by customers or people you work with for your advice on things or your point of view on things. Well, when you start to hear that, make a post out of it. Because if your customers are asking you that, or if somebody else is asking you that, or one of the creators you work with is asking you that, put a post in and put it up there. And then how stuff works. Everyone wants to know, demystify how stuff works. So key here is demystify, explain, and educate. And those are the two things that actually work really well on LinkedIn. And remember, none of that is about you. None of that is, hi everyone, here's what I bought at the store today. Not that you would do that anyway, but it's all about what the audience wants to know. So tent poles and hooks, we are getting towards the end. This goes back to like, what do I talk about? What do I write about? Now this is for the US, but in the US, we have 500 days that are official days of the year. Now yesterday was Thanksgiving, today is Black Friday, but imagine taking some of these and making a post that uses the things I just talked about to help as a hook to put that out there as a video. So, this is from a company called Meltwater. I have the link at the end, but this is really funny. So I put a video out on the 15th where I was talking about this for people, and I was like, okay, I'm going to teach you, like, here's a great thing. And I said, okay, so the day is National Clean Out Your Fridge Day, National Recycling Day, and Odd Socks Day. I was like, well, probably a business video about odd socks. You might be able to come up with that. But the video idea I came out of that was Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day. So you could start with that as a hook and then say, in business, maybe it's time to clean out the refrigerator of your business, get rid of old practices, get rid of old strategies, things that aren't working, cut away old features, and maybe even fire people that are rotting in your refrigerator. So that could have been a good video or a post or something like that, and I used a hook there. So there's some international ones here, like Jasper Donut likes stout. He drinks Guinness a lot, so he should do stuff on the 3rd of November because it's International Stout Day. There's World Kindness Day. You can obviously think of lots of things to do there. World Children's Day, Television Day. Anyway, this is a really good, this is November 2022. They just released the 2023 version. It can really help just like give you a creative jump start. Like, what are you going to do? That can really be helpful. And I don't know if there's one in Singapore. I don't know if you guys have national days or things here. Apparently, it's like 11/11 is a perfect example of something we don't have in the US. You guys do Singles Day. You could have a lot of fun with that, I'm sure, in a business setting. So that's basically it. These are all the resources. Let me just explain these resources for you for a minute. Richard and Sam are the two best sources I've found for what works on LinkedIn, what the algorithm wants. They are the algorithmic experts. There's like, Richard Vanderblom is kind of like the Daryl Eves of LinkedIn, if you know Daryl Eves on YouTube. Nikita and Justin also do really interesting things. Nikita is in HR and works at KPMG, but she's got great stuff on how to build your profile and how to make it better. And she writes a monthly newsletter about that and about making your LinkedIn better for recruiters, but also for other people. Justin's good, top 100 hashtags, and then that meltwater calendar that I put right there. So I will stop. Hopefully that was useful. This is the first time I've done this. I now have like a bunch of ways I want to make it better, this presentation. So thanks for being my beta testers. Any questions? I'm not sure I could answer them, but if you have any questions, let me know. We're all going to have great LinkedIn profiles, right? And we're all going to start creating content on LinkedIn. Tag me, tag me, tag me. I want to see what you guys do.
Sorry, it's a really basic question, but you were talking before about only doing like tagging 3 different people in each post. But tagging companies as well is also a bad thing, like tagging more than...
You can tag companies if they're
I mean, we do, but like, is there a limit or, ratio?
So there's not a limit on tagging if they're relevant, I don't think. I'm not going to say that for sure. I haven't seen it or been told it. You don't want to tag irrelevant people, right? And you don't want more than 3 to 5 hashtags. But if they're relevant, put them in. I wouldn't put too many in. But on a story, like on my newsletter, I'll tag companies. If there's a company there, you can @ them. @ company works just as well as @ person. But don't overdo it. And you can do it, like I do it in context. And it's like, well, today TikTok announced an amazing new feature. I will do, well, today @TikTok announced a really cool new feature. Puts it in the text. It makes it rises up as a link. So, but again, I don't know if you do too many, if it's bad or not. If anybody finds out, let me know. All right, here, I'm going to see if I can show this to you. I was going to talk about that news thing. So I'm going to try and bring my computer over here, if I can. I just realized I forgot you had this. Oh, no, I can't. My computer won't work with that. Can I just show this? Can I show a browser for a minute here? Yep, okay, cool. All right, so LinkedIn, I'm not going to log in or anything, but I will show you LinkedIn, if I can type. LinkedIn.com. Okay, so LinkedIn, damn. I don't want to sign in as somebody else. Just come over here and I'll show you on my screen. Anybody want to see this news hack? Gather around the fireplace. So if you see here, so these are the news stories right over here. See them on the right of the screen? Right? Like Thanksgiving travel, college rankings passe, free returns, et cetera. You guys see all that, right? So if I click on one of them, let's say I'm a branding expert and Kia's rebrand causes confusion. I click on that. And there's this news story about Kia. So this part right here was written by a news editor. They have reporters at LinkedIn who write this stuff. And you're like, oh, that's really interesting. So what you want to do is you want to go in and say share, click share, and then post on feed, right? This is like creating an article. And then what do you want to talk about? So once you get here, let's say you're a branding expert, then you can write a post, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs or whatever about what you think about branding. And let's say you're a branding expert, you're like, well, it's okay, but here are the things that get different. Or maybe you take their logo and go into Dolly and create a bunch of versions of it, a couple of photos of what would be better, you can put them in there. Do that, put the hashtag in, hashtag LI trending topic. Wait a minute, let me just get that in there. Hashtag LI. I cannot type on an angle. So there's that post, there's the hashtag, you can put other hashtags in. By responding to the post and posting it with your response, and then putting in LI trending topics, that says to the news team, somebody responded to your post. And they'll read those. They'll look at them. And if it's good, they'll include it. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this story here on LinkedIn, as you can see, Kia rebrand causes confusion. This person is a UX designer. They wrote a little story that say, I like the logo, but I understand the confusion. This person wrote something else. So you'll see this person said something here. So they'll put these in, and this gets you additional reach. This is a great way to get additional reach and to get people to see your stuff. So you've got something to say. Don't just spam it. Make sure you got something good to say. But and clearly, because most of the U.S. is on holiday, anybody can, not anybody, but people can write stuff without even, and they're not even that much detail there. They're just like the posts and they're dropping them in because they want people to see what other people think. So this is a really good way to build reach. One hack. So cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you. And like I said, connect with me and I'll connect with you. If you find cool stuff, do it, and let's all grow on LinkedIn together.